Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
As it might ever be. Her hands are red like roses blooming in February. Carrying a pail.
The song that you are currently listening to is called Cherry Pickin', and it is about to be the latest release from the up-and-coming folk group, the Wildwoods, who will be performing at the United Center on Sunday, July 14th. Be sure to check out this single when it hits streaming services on Friday, July 12th, and be sure to stream their other releases wherever you get your music. To learn more about the band, head to their social media on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, and be sure to head to thewildwoodsband.com. Be sure to check out their latest up-and-coming album when it releases in early 2025.
It's each and every day. Put it in a locket that you wear there in front of your heart. Ooh, oh, 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 oh.
Hello! My name is Jamie Lammers, and I hope you all had a very enjoyable and safe 4th of July, if you celebrated, that is. Welcome to this week's edition of Music of the Mountains, brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast. This week, I have a very exciting edition for you guys with a musician that I was not planning on interviewing because I didn't think I could actually fit this band into my schedule. But thankfully, I was able to actually fit them in, and I am so excited to be able to bring them onto the podcast now. As a heads up, there are technical difficulties unfortunately spread throughout this episode as the musical guest had to drive throughout the course of this interview, so she occasionally ended up cutting out. But don't worry, we'll still try and make this as cohesive as we possibly can. Our musical guest this week, do you mind introducing yourself real quick?
Yeah, my name is Chloe Gose, and I perform with a folk trio from Lincoln, Nebraska called the Wildwoods.
And you're performing at the United Center very soon, aren't you?
Yes, we are in July.
Have you performed at the United Center or even in Colorado before?
We haven't performed at the United Center, but we've definitely performed in Colorado quite a bit. The last time we were there was last July, and we actually performed pretty close by in Idaho Springs. We just did a house concert because the United Center couldn't fit in an extra show in their season. So the guy that runs music there, Nick, he was just very kind and gracious and set up a concert in his backyard for us. Yeah, it was really fun.
Well, it's great to have you back. Can you talk a little bit about how the Wildwoods started in the first place?
Yeah, so the band started in 2012. My husband, Noah, he's the guitar player in the group and he's the main songwriter. And we met each other when we were in 8th grade. We had just gotten done with school. And I had already been playing music with my older brother, who coincidentally, his name is also Noah. And so we had been playing together. And then when I met my now husband, Noah, and discovered that he played guitar and played music.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt to make sure that the thought is complete because this is the first point in which Chloe ended up getting cut off. So, after she discovered that Noah ended up playing music, they both joined a music program together. She's going to talk a little bit more about that music program now.
Program in Lincoln called Academy of Rock. And that was just like a youth program that was put together, and they would take middle school, high school kids and pair them into different bands just to teach them how to perform with other people and make music.
Chloe was essentially saying that, of course, this program ended up teaching you how to make music with others. And she also mentioned, apparently, while she was cut off here, that there was a third member that ended up joining her and Noah Gose, and that would be her brother, Noah Pinkman.
And it was a lot of fun. Our band's name was Rabbits with Gas Masks, but all three of us played acoustic instruments and we weren't really into that style of music necessarily. So we left the program after we performed as that for a while and then started our own folk band called the Wildwoods. And we did that together all throughout high school and into college. And we met Andy, our bass player. We actually met him in high school, but he didn't join our band until after we had graduated. So we've had a different lineup of different musicians that have played with us over the years. years. And then when COVID happened, we just rebranded and started performing as a duo because obviously it was hard. We didn't get many gigs and the whole world was shut down for a little while. And then after that...
Once again, Chloe ended up cutting out a bit here, so the sentence wasn't complete, but... after that,
we became a trio as what we are now, the Wildwoods today. So it's been a long journey, but that's how it began.
If you're curious, previous members of the band, along with Chloe Gose, Noah Gose, and Andrew Vaggalis, included drummer Matthew Sievert, Noah Pinkman, Chloe's brother, and bassist Tony Conot. So what style of music has the band gravitated towards over the years?
Yeah, so we're folk Americana. I feel like it's always hard to categorize the style of music that we make because it's a mixture of a lot of different things. Like probably what Americana is.
In case you're wondering what Chloe said because she cut out, she said, I guess that's probably what Americana is.
But we're folk-centered. We have a lot of those folk elements in our music, as well as some jazz and a little bit of bluegrass.
Here, Chloe said something along the lines that the band is very much influenced by artists that they loved. But again, she ended up cutting out here, so I had to edit around what she said.
We love Watch House, Nickel Creek, Gillian Welch. We love the Beatles, Joni Mitchell, just an array of different influences.
So you said the band did have a primary songwriter, right?
Yeah, so my husband Noah, he writes all of our songs, and he brings them to the table. They're kind of like the blueprint of what we do, and then we all three sit down together, and of course, they change over time. They change a little bit after each of us add our own elements to the song. But he writes all of the music. He went to school also for music composition, so that's just the thing that he loves to do. He loves writing and arranging, and I might be biased, but I think he's really good at it. So,
what's it been like over the years seeing that writing process come to fruition?
It's really cool to look back on and see how much we've changed over the years, because obviously in the moment it doesn't really feel like things change until we look back on the music that we were making when we were in high school and even early college, and just how different it sounds and how many more experiences we've had that have influenced the way the genre has shifted a little bit from what we started out as. So I would say we were maybe a little bit more bluegrass centered when we first started, but we've kind of shifted a little bit into softer folk Americana.
How does the band arrange songs once Noah brings the primary song to the table?
So the main thing would be the instrumental parts of the music, and Noah does a really great job of arranging string parts. I love the violin melodies that he writes, but not all of the songs are everything that he writes. Obviously I come up with my own line too, and Andy does with his bass playing. He creates a first initial blueprint of what he thinks we should sing, all three of us together, because our music is very three-part harmony centered, but it's kind of hard to do that without testing it out and seeing what works and what doesn't. So a lot of the times the harmonies will change.
Here, Chloe got cut off when she said that the harmonies will often change from what we originally thought.
Or even the main melody part. Because on a lot of the songs I sing the melody, and of course it was written as fitting for Noah's voice, so usually the keys too, we change those and fit them to match each of us the best they can.
Along with your original releases, you've also released quite a few covers. How many covers do you implement in your shows?
Yeah, and that's a really good question, because I think a lot of people think with how many covers we've put out on social media or even our Spotify, I think a lot of people think we play more covers than we really do. But when we're playing the Wildwoods show, I would say we try to throw in 2 or 3 covers for the whole evening. It's very much original music that we try to do the whole night. But we love playing covers, and I really think people love hearing them, because when you go to listen to a new band that you've never heard of before, it's kind of nice to hear something that you're familiar with, but maybe in a unique way that you would have never thought a song could sound. 2 or 3 we add into the set, but we love making our own little versions for social media.
What attracted me to the band initially was the aesthetic that you guys seem to have going on. From the pictures that you have for the band to the releases that you've had over the years, the names of your songs, your album covers, everything that is associated with your band, including your band's name. Was that intentional, or did that just kind of happen?
Well, thank you, first of all, for saying that, because I often find myself at a loss because I feel like we don't have an aesthetic, and I'm always like, we need to have our imagery match the music that we're writing, because I do feel like the music fits with, in my mind, what I imagine our aesthetic to be, and I do feel like the imagery does as well, but I don't really feel like any of that.
I think that Chloe was talking about how she didn't feel like any of the artwork necessarily contributed to a specific aesthetic on purpose, but I'm not entirely sure what she said, because once again, she was cut off here.
We do put a lot of thought into our artwork and all of that stuff, but I guess specifically for this last album that we put out, the artwork on the album I think is perfect for the music that is on the album, but that was kind of just a photo shoot that we had with one of our friends, and the camera, it was shot on a film camera, and the film was actually messed up because it had gone through the x-ray machine at the airport. So the weird coloring effects and grain effects that are on all the images for the album, those were all mistakes. But I really love that style, and I feel like it fits the songs perfectly. And I guess some of our artwork that we thought of is...
Once again, I think that she was going to say that the artwork that they've thought of, at least some of the artwork that they've thought of, is specific to the songs that they end up releasing. But unfortunately, once again, she was cut off here, so I didn't quite get what she said. But that's okay, because we're moving on to the next question anyway. You've won a couple of contests over the last couple of years, haven't you?
Yeah, so we did a really fun contest at the Fresh Grass Music Festival last fall, and that experience, it worked out because of our social media, which is really cool. We put out a lot of little just cover videos and original videos on TikTok and Instagram, and one of the curators for the festival emailed us and invited us to come and perform at the festival, to perform a set, and then also compete in their bluegrass band competition. And of course, we said yes. I mean, we love the Fresh Grass Music Festival, and they always bring in artists that are some of our favorite artists to listen to. So that was a cool experience. We got to go to Massachusetts, just outside of Boston, and compete against two other bands. And we were very much out of our element because the other two bands that we competed against were very traditional bluegrass bands, which we are not. We can play bluegrass songs, pull them out of our pockets when we need them, but...
She continued talking about the Bluegrass Festival here, but again, she cut off for a long time, so I'm not entirely sure what she said until this point when she came back in.
So many great musicians there. And then we actually are leaving now to go back home from the Red Lodge Songwriters Festival. They had a songwriting contest called the Rocky Mountain Songwriters Contest, and I think the rules to that were you had to submit an unreleased song. And so I took one of Noah's songs that's going to be on our new album coming out in 2025. I just submitted that.
I want to say here that Chloe said that she submitted the song on a whim, but I'm not entirely sure that's what she said because once again, she got cut off here.
Was selected for that, and we just got back from there and we competed and got third place. So that was a really fun experience.
In case you're curious, once the album actually comes out in early 2025, the song that they ended up winning third place for at this contest was Sweet Niobrara. In 2023, the band also won the Gems on VHS Gems in the Rough competition. Didn't you win something along the lines of Best New Band as well? Was that the Bluegrass Festival?
Yeah, we did. That wasn't the Bluegrass Festival. That's actually in our hometown, Lincoln. The paper, the Lincoln Journal-Star, they have this contest where just people vote. I think anybody, you don't have to live in Nebraska, can vote, but you just go on the paper's website and put in your submission for Best New Band. So we did get that award in 2022, I think it was. And then this year, we were second place in the Best New Band category. Or I think it was just a Best Band category, because obviously we're not a new band. But
to clarify the award for the Best New Band that the Wildwoods won in 2022, the award was actually Lincoln's choice from the Lincoln Journal-Star 2022 for Best Band. The runner-up was AM/FM, and an honorable mention was Cheesy Bandito. They were also nominated in 2024 for the same award, losing out to AM/FM and being nominated alongside Josh Hoyer and Soul Colossal, Wonder Rising, and the 402. The Wildwoods also performed at the 2022 ceremony, which they won at, and you can see them win at Lincoln'sChoiceAwards.com, where there's a full video of the 2022 ceremony. They win about 22 minutes in. I will say this, the woman says that the nominees are, and then immediately skips the nominees. That's because in the actual ceremony, they projected the nominees behind her. She didn't list off the nominees, they just projected the nominees. And unfortunately, the video didn't capture that. What has it been like over the last few years for you guys as a band working to establish yourselves as a name in the folk community?
Yeah, it feels like it's been our whole lives, honestly, that we've been doing this. But I guess within the last year and a half, last 2 years, things have really ramped up for us in a really positive way because we started putting a lot of our focus into our social media pages. We got back from a tour. It was our last tour that Noah and I just did as a duo. And we came home and we're like, we got to figure out how to start being better on social media because so many people use it and we just weren't using it to its potential that we could have. So we just made a commitment and started putting out videos multiple times a week. And it worked. People really loved it. We gained a lot of traction and a few of our videos went viral. Now we have over 180,000 followers on Instagram and TikTok. I don't even know what it's at now, like 68,000 or something. And our Facebook, we've gained a lot of fans. And at first it was so exciting because the numbers just went up so fast. It was an overnight thing after we posted a video. And it was cool to see, but then we were like, will these people actually come to shows? Are these real people or are they just just online. But then we went on our first tour a few months later after that, after the social media blow up, and we started selling out a lot of shows just across the country as we were touring, which we had not been used to doing before. We did sell out shows before, but it was every once in a while. It wasn't consistently. So it's been it's kind of changed our lives in a way, to us thinking that, oh, maybe we can make a career out of this and keep doing this full time. And yeah, just recently we got a manager and a booking agent, which is something we've been working for a really long time. So that's exciting. And I just hope it keeps growing and our music keeps reaching new people.
I also wanted to shout out that the band actually has a publicist too. Special thanks to Mike Farley of Michael J. Media for reaching out to me in the first place and letting me know that the band was actually interested in being interviewed. He also publicizes for bands and artists such as Church of Cash, Luke LeBlanc, Chris Knight, Amethyst Kia, C.R. Grave, David Wilcox, Bella White, I Don't Know How But They Found Me, and John Vincent III. If you want to check out a playlist on Spotify of all of the acts that he publicizes for, be sure to search for Michael J. Media Current Projects, and you'll find that playlist. I should have asked this way earlier, but what are each of your individual music backgrounds?
Yeah, that's a good question, because each of us have different paths. So my husband, Noah, he started playing piano at a really young age. Him and his other two siblings did, but his siblings hated the piano, and he was the only one that gravitated towards music, so he stuck with it. And then he found his dad's guitar one day under his bed and taught himself how to play the guitar. And I think he grew up listening to a lot of John Prine and the Beatles. He has a very, very wide range musical genre. He loves Radiohead and Weezer. So he grew up on that, taught himself how to play guitar. And my journey, my older brother Noah started playing the guitar before I even started playing music at all. And my mom is a very musical person. So she was kind of the inspiration for us to pick up instruments, I guess maybe for my brother. And then my brother was my inspiration to start learning the violin and playing an instrument, because I just wanted to be able to play music with him. So a lot of music surrounding in my family, not the same for Noah's family, because he was kind of the only musical one there. And then I know Andrew, our bass player, he was not musical at all, which I didn't know this until like a couple weeks ago when we were talking about it. But he didn't learn how to play an instrument until he was 14, which is still really young, but to me that seems older considering when we started playing. And he was very much into sports before he picked up a guitar, and then he fell in love with playing music. And then the three of us, we met in high school, but we were all in show choir together, and that's how we connected.
Have you guys performed solo or in other projects before the Wildwoods?
So Noah and I, because we met so young, we've only ever really performed together. We've never done any solo projects per se. I guess Noah, he went to school for composition, so he's written a lot of instrumental pieces that he's performed with other musicians. And Andy did perform on his own and with some other bands before he started playing with us, but he also started playing with us. Like, I think the Wildwoods, besides his high school band that he was in, was the first band that he was in and committed to. So he's been playing with us since 2017, even though we didn't start performing fully as a trio until like a year and a half ago. So mostly the whole time the Wildwoods has been our main project.
And what has it been like performing live? What are some of your favorite parts about the process, especially now that you started getting traction on social media?
It's made touring and performing just so much more fruitful, I guess, in a sense of financially, but also just it makes us happier, I guess, because we actually see people now out in the crowd listening to our music.
And unfortunately, that's where the interview cuts off for good. Not only did Chloe cut out temporarily during this part of the interview, the call dropped completely, so she had to call me back twice, and both times I forgot to press record on the interview. That was my bad. However, the only questions that I basically had left to ask were my normal questions of what's it like performing live, what do you hope people take away from your shows, and what else do you want to add? I wanted to get the other two members of the band on board for the podcast too. They didn't end up doing a separate interview with me, but they did send me some responses to the questions that I didn't end up recording for the actual podcast. Here is Andy's response to the question, what do you love about performing live? On any given evening, there's a certain energy in a venue or space that can't ever be replicated. As a performer, a constant area of stress for me had been overcoming imperfections during a live show. I'd continuously find myself more focused on how what I'm playing is being perceived, more so than what I'm actually playing, which is a great recipe for a dull performance. But once it finally hit home for me that above anything else in a show, the energy is going to be the aspect that's remembered by everyone in the room, including ourselves, performing live became the least stressful part about what we do. Then, when the relationship of give and take of energy between us and the audience is fully realized, Amidst the mistakes and all, it's incredibly palpable, and those are the shows that leave a lasting indentation on my noggin. And here is Noah's answer for what he hopes people take away from watching the Wildwoods shows. Our live performances are always centered around the idea of what can we do to lift the spirits of our listeners. People live very intricate, exhausting lives. Time is the most valuable currency we have, and the fact that people choose to spend a couple of hours of their lives with us is such an honor. We want people to leave our shows with smiles on their faces. We want them to be able to forget about their troubles for a little while as they take a deep dive into the stories and songs that we share with them. Finding joy in the simple pleasures of life, overcoming hardships, and the pursuit of authenticity are a few reoccurring themes that appear within our music. We want our crowds to leave our shows feeling like they know us like we're old friends, and with a sense of calmness and positivity. There's enough love to go around. Thank you so much to everyone who pulled this interview together despite all of the technical difficulties. Thank you to Mike for reaching out to me in the first place. Thank you to Chloe for sitting down and actually doing the interview. And thank you to Noah and Andrew for contributing your own very thoughtful responses. Be sure to check out the Wildwoods performing live at 1440 Colorado Boulevard in Idaho Springs. That's at the United Center on Sunday, July 14th, 2024, starting at 6 p.m. You can also listen to their releases, whether you want to listen to their various studio albums of original material or you want to listen to some of their covers wherever you listen to music. And be sure to check them out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Also, they're releasing a new single for their upcoming album. It's called Cherry Pickin'. You heard it at the beginning of this episode, and it's coming out on Friday, July 12th. So be sure to check out streaming services in order to listen to that single once it comes out. Finally, if you want to learn more about the band and where they'll be playing next, be sure to head to thewildwoodsband.com. Before we get into our music mentions for the week, here's an ad break.
West Virginia rain, misty mountains calling out my name.
Self-defense does not require athleticism. It just requires determination and a desire to learn. If you want to feel empowered, confident, self-assured, and safe while learning self-defense, then head over to Nederland Defensive Arts at the Nederland Community Center. To learn more, contact Sensei Carl Zondrecker at carlzondrecker@gmail.com or by calling 518-637-3106. Also be sure to check out a recent podcast episode promoting the school. Music credits will be given at the end of the episode.
How the hell did you let yourself become so blind? West Virginia rain, misty mountains calling out my name. West Virginia rain.
And now, for this week's music mentions. Head to Busey Bruce, located at 70 East 1st Street in Nederland on Sunday, July 14th at 2 p.m. to see S'moregrass Duo performing live. Head to the Canyon Tavern, located at 32138 Highway 72 in Coal Creek Canyon to see Howard DeLugash performing live. That performance will be on Saturday, July 13th, starting at 6 p.m. Head to the Diner Bar Ned, located at 121 North Jefferson Street in Nederland on Sundays at 6 p.m. for an open mic night. We didn't get the chance to advertise the last music performance at the last Gilpin County First Saturday Farmers Market on Saturday, June 1st from 10 to 3 p.m. because, frankly, we didn't know what music was going on over there. But now, for the Saturday, July 6th Farmers Market that's happening at 250 Norton Drive in Blackhawk, we are able to tell you. The Tater Spliffs, featuring Adam and Dave from the No Go Gillbillies, will be performing at the Gilpin County First Saturday Farmers Market from noon to 2 on Saturday, July 6th. So be sure to head to 250 Norton Drive in Blackhawk to check them out for yourself. Head to the Gold Hill Inn, located at 401 Main Street in Gold Hill on Friday, July 12th at 8 p.m. to see Bear Hat performing live, and on Sunday, July 14th at 5:30 p.m. to see Damn Tall Buildings performing live. Head to the Gold Hill General Store, located at 531 Main Street in Gold Hill on Thursday, July 11th at 7 p.m. to see Bobby Coe performing live, on Saturday, July 13th at 3 p.m. to see Andres Santana performing live, and on Saturday, July 13th at 7 p.m. to see Something Slight performing live. Head to Gregory Plaza, located near 317 Gregory Street in Blackhawk, near the Mountain Poppy Boutique, on Saturday, July 13th at 5 p.m. to see Nicholas Fennell of the Hucklebearers performing live, brought to you by the Blackhawk Hard District. Head to Howlin' Wind Brewing, located at 51A Main Street in Rollinsville, on Saturday, July 13th at 5 p.m. to see Riverspell performing live. Head Head to the Jamestown Mercantile, located at 108 Main Street in Jamestown, on Wednesday, July 10th at 5 p.m. to see an open mic, on Thursday, July 11th at 7 p.m. to see Derek Dames Old performing live, on Friday, July 12th at 7 p.m. to see Zimbira performing live, and on Sunday, July 14th at 12:15 p.m. to see Stephen Hoffman performing live. Head to Knotted Root Brewing, located at 250 North Caribou Street in Netherland, on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. for an open mic night, and on Sundays at 5 p.m. for Jazz Sundays. Head to the Old Gallery at Allens Park at 14863 Highway 7 in Allens Park on Wednesday, July 10th at 2 p.m. to see the Summer Porch Series featuring Rocky Ridge music. Head to the United Center, located at 1440 Colorado Boulevard in Idaho Springs on Sunday, July 14th at 6 p.m. to see the Wildwoods performing live. And finally, you can now head to both locations of the Very Nice Brewing Company for some awesome live music. The location at 180 Jankowski Drive in Blackhawk has yet to have its grand opening. That'll happen later this month. More details in a previous episode of the podcast covering this exact topic, but there's still some awesome live music to be had. We didn't get to advertise the Friday, July 5th show with Raven Wolf from 6 to 8 p.m., but hopefully we'll give you just enough time to let you know that Reservoir Fog will be performing on Saturday, July 6th, starting at 5 p.m. So be sure to head to 180 Jankowski Drive to check out that band for yourself. Also be sure to head there on Friday, July 12th, starting at 6 p.m. to see Nicholas Fennell of the Hucklebearers performing live. Or, if you would prefer to stick to Netherland, be sure to head to 20 East Lakeview Drive number 112 in Netherland on Thursday, July 11th at 6 p.m. to see John Mears performing live, Friday, July 12th at 6 p.m. to see Magnum Mike performing live, and Saturday, July 13th at 5 p.m. to see David Tillman performing live. Did we miss you or any of your performances? Want to submit your music listing in the Peak to Peak area? Do you have updates to your business or to your performances? Please call 303-810-5409 or email info@themountaineer.com or media@themountaineer.com to be included in the next print edition or the next podcast of The Mountain Ear. Thank you so much for tuning in this week to check out a very special edition of Music of the Mountains brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast. I hope you stick around for a little bit because we're still going to have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule for a little while. I'll see you again on Monday with a very exciting episode.
Sailboats passing me by, and a young timid sailor was I.
The song that played in the ad break is called West Virginia Rain, and the song that you are currently listening to is called 13 Sailboats, and both are from the latest studio release, Foxfield St. John, of the up-and-coming folk group, the Wildwoods. You can stream their latest single, Cherry Pickin', which is for their up-and-coming album in early 2025, on Friday, July 12th, and you can check them out performing live at the United Center on Sunday, July 14th. Be sure to stream their releases wherever you get your music. Be sure to learn more about them by going to their social media on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and be sure to head to their website at thewildwoodsband.com.
Sweet Virginia, caught on a hook like a runaway train. She rose free, spreading like wildfire, tarnished by rain, like a Renaissance painting. She hangs on the walls of the tree. Nothing is at all as it seems.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount. Only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak to Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.